Hello there everyone and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking Alpha 321 and specifically one, or I should say three particular things that have been added on the PTU in the last week or so that has quite honestly got me really excited about the game again. Just to give you guys a bit of an idea, over the last couple of months I've not really been on Star Citizen that much, if I'm being honest. It had reached a stage where, as much as I love the game, I wasn't getting enough out of it to jump on it on a frequent basis. So with Starfield coming out as well, I stepped back from Star Citizen for a little while. And of course, I've been playing that. I've played the X-Defiant PTU beta that was a couple of weeks ago. But with 321, you know, the fire's been reignited. The spark is there again. Excuse me. And I'm sure you guys probably know what it is that I'm going to be taking a look at today and talking about today, because you've probably seen a few other people posting videos talking about it on X and other social media as well. And it is obviously, it's going to be the jump gates that have been added into Star Citizen. So there are 3 jump gates added so far, and if we come and have a look at the slightly revamped star map, which is really cool because now the orbits are not all on a plane. We now have them at slightly different angles to each other in some cases. We still don't have planets that rotate around the sun, but we'll see if that's something that comes in future. But of course, we have the 3 different jump gates. We've got Stanton. We've got Terra jump point, we've got the Pyro jump point, and we have the Magnus jump point. And obviously the one that is of the most immediate interest to pretty much everyone who plays the game is the Pyro jump point, which is very conveniently placed relatively close to Arc-Hell 1, whereas we've got the Magnus jump point is all the way out there, like right at the edges of the system. I'm going to put up on screen now a little bit of a screen capture of the star map that is on the Robert Space Industries website, just so that you guys can see where in relation to Stanton these other 3 systems are. And I do encourage you, go on the website, have a look at this star map. It is really cool. You can click on all the different systems, you can click on every planet, and it gives you a little bit of history, a little bit of information about those planets. And these particular systems are all tied together with the jump points, so they're kind of like their own little micro economy between them. And I'm really looking forward to the gameplay that's going to emerge just from being able to travel between like these 4 systems in particular. Not even thinking about the day where we can finally get to the Sol system and Betelgeuse and places like that. So, but what we're going to do today is I am currently at Microtech. That is the location I've chosen to start for this version of the PTU. We're going to go to the Terra jump point first. We'll then head across to Stanton. I did it again. Head across to Pyro, and then we'll take a bit of a journey over to the Magnus one. Now, don't worry, guys. You're not going to have to sit there and listen to me waffle on during the whole of the quantum process. I will say I have tried this a couple of times already this week, but it's kind of been 30k city. Hopefully, you know, the next few months or the last few months, we have to deal with 30k because of the replication layer being implemented and obviously server meshing becoming a reality. But I am going to, first of all, set a route to the jump point, which is now its own jump point. We don't have to have other players setting beacons so that we can travel there. And the next thing you are going to see from me, guys, is, apart from me actually jumping into quantum, next time you'll see me will be just before we emerge from the jump point. So I will catch you all in just a moment. Okay, so we're just in the last 2 million kilometers before we arrive at the jump point. I have seen this in videos, and I very, very briefly saw it with my own eyes when I was trying to show it off to people the other day, but unfortunately, 30k kind of ruined the experience. So this is actually going to be my first proper view of it, and we can just see it emerging in the distance there now. Massive nebula in front of us. Absolutely love the mixture of colors and the shapes that they've got there. So here we are, and that is the nebula surrounding the jump point. So do we now need to do another jump to the station? Let's have a look. Got a bit of a cooldown before we can get there. It does. It looks absolutely amazing. That is so stunning. And from what I can gather, you don't get the kind of FPS issues that you would get with clouds. Everything I've seen, the game performs absolutely fine in the nebulae. So that's good, because otherwise they could have been quite a strain on the system. Right. Now we're jumping to the station. And there we go. We are here, and welcome to the Terra Jump Point Station. Now, I'm not very good at piloting third person, so if I crash, please forgive me, but I should be all right. So these stations are quite large, or certainly this one is, the Terra Jump Point Station. There appears to be quite a lot here as well. There's multiple components to the station. It's not all just one long section. It's a bit more like, if you think about how Orison is set out, where you've got a lot of different platforms. This space station in particular seems to be a bit like that. But we'll get a bit closer without crashing. Then we'll go and take a look at the runway itself. As I understand it, you can get on the stations as well. I'm not going to do that today. I'll take a look at those a little bit further down the line. Once you can do things like set your spawn point. I think you can buy stuff here already. I think they are functional apart from being able to set your point. I know the Pyro station has a refining facility. I don't know if Terra does. I don't know if Magnus does.
Thank you. Please visit again.
So it might be worth testing those out again. So as you heard there, we do have the comm system to land. So that wasn't there when I was watching a couple of other people's videos earlier in the week. So that's been added in. It all looks fantastic. It all looks how you'd expect, to be honest, from Star Citizen, from CIG. And I know at the end of the space station, we also do have a security dock as well. So there will be some bounty missions possibly going into Pyro, into Terra, into Magnus. And I think all the stations do have the security area. So you may be retrieving bounties from those systems. But over here is the real exciting part. The gates themselves are not in the game yet, but we have the rest of the infrastructure. So we've got the space stations. We've got this kind of runway to the gate as well. And as you can see, you can already see lots and lots of extra little platforms. I don't know to what extent we can interact with those, whether you can land on them, whether there's any amenities on them. Probably not, I guess. I don't know if there'll be things like refueling stations along here, because I know some of these platforms do have fuel tanks. But here we go as we enter into the runway with these rectangular portals, all adorned with advertising, which is, it's exactly what would happen. When mankind finally does go into space and start building space stations, there will be corporations all over the place who use the opportunity to advertise their services as much as they possibly can. So you've got Crusade, you've got Klesher there, Microtech, Kasaba have a couple of posters here. I can see some for Cruise Pulse as well, Hurston Dynamics. So yeah, that is the first of the gates. What I want to do is we're going to slow it down. We'll just come back in because there are signs as well, although the signs, I kind of missed them on the way down there, didn't look at them. As you exit the system, you have signs that tell you about there being no more refueling until you reach the destination system. And then on the way in, you've got things like this one, which says, "Welcome to Stanton." So a nice little greeting as you drop out of the jump. And you can see, again, a load more of the advertising. There's so many platforms here. It's amazing, actually, that FPS is as steady, as solid as it is right now, because there is a lot here at the moment. Obviously, I think I'm the only player here right now by the looks of things. The time of day I'm playing it, I'm not surprised. But that looks so cool, especially like as you come through those gates and see the station over there. That's a really cool sight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring us to a stop as we go through the final part of the runway. Hope that nobody crashes into me from behind. And we will set a route to the Pyro jump point, which is the most immediate one, because with any luck, we are going to have Pyro probably on the PTU, hopefully, and I do only say hopefully, at Christmas. My gut tells me they're going to try and do what they did with 318 at the end of 2022, where they put the PTU up just before they go on their Christmas break, and let us all have a play around with it, break it as much as we can, so that when they come back after their break, they've got plenty of stuff that they can fix. So that's kind of my prediction. Again, it's not based in any kind of reality. I'm just spitballing, but I'm hoping that's the case, because it does seem to me like they're still aiming for end of 2023 for Pyro to be available for us. It really does depend what happens with the replication layer between now and then, but touch wood, it's going to happen. So once again, guys, I'm going to pause the recording, and I'll see you as we're arriving at the Pyro jump point. I know there's a lot of skepticism about whether Pyro is actually going to happen at the end of the year, and I kind of get that. There is a part of me that obviously is skeptical. We know that CIG, are known for missing their predictions. Not always their fault. Things do crop up. This is game development after all, with brand new technology. I genuinely do think it will hit the PTU at Christmas. We may then have a couple of months of PTU testing, but I originally thought, because of how long 318 took and the initial issues with persistent entity streaming, that maybe Pyro would end up getting pushed like right back to something like Easter next year. But the fact that they're doing this now, that they're even putting in all this infrastructure for the jump points, really does give me a lot of encouragement, because that tells me that they're a lot closer than a lot of us think they are. Obviously, it doesn't mean everything's going to be working perfectly from day one. Of course it isn't. There's going to be issues. But it's just really, really given me that optimism back. And I'm an optimistic person, I do fully believe in this project. I'm 100% behind the devs, but even I get frustrated at times. Even I do sometimes lean towards despair about where things are going with this. But the fact that they've done all of this, and the fact that literally, I think we've had maybe 3 or 4 patches for the PTU for 321 to get it working smoothly. But when you consider in the first version of 321, we just had, polygons everywhere. We had really unrendered stuff. You couldn't see more than a couple of thousand meters in front of you. Now look at it. It looks like it's been in the game for weeks or months. So there really is signs of improvement, that they've learned from previous parts of the development and that they are implementing it. So yeah, here we are. We're at the Pyro jump point, which is a little bit smaller than the Terra. So it looks like the Terra jump point might be one of the major ones, both in and out of the system. Not quite as many additional structures. We do again have the security part of the station there. And there's lots of like little weapon emplacements lying around, extra little barges that hold advertising on them. I really do hope some of these extra areas do have some kind of facility on them, even if it's just like habitation facilities. I'd love to see one of these become maybe a dedicated hospital kind of facility, so that rather than having to go to the main station, you go to a particular place, particularly when there's big events going on and everyone's escaping Pyro or whatever. It's like everyone has to converge on this hospital facility to go and get repair. It'd be great to have like dedicated docking ports for things like the not the Polaris. I can't remember the name of the ship that's going to be the medical one, but yeah, there's a lot of potential with these kind of locations, and I really hope they do give some thought of how to really make the most of them. Obviously, what we don't want is every single platform to be able to populate NPCs and players be there, because that will have, you know, an FPS impact, and we don't want this to become too laggy a mess. I mean, the question remains how the jump points are going to work, what kind of drain they will have on the game. But hopefully it's a relatively smooth ride. We'll have to wait a few months to find out. Honestly, I cannot wait for the first day we can go through a jump point to Pyro, Magnus or Terra. And I don't think Magnus or Terra are going to come like next year. Maybe towards the end of the year. It really depends on whether or not they have done any work on those. And looking at the tracker, there's no reason to believe they have been working on them. But you never know. You never know. I'm sure even CIG like to keep certain things secret, as much as, you know, transparency is important to them. But here you go. Above me, you can see some of those signs. So you've got the fuel services not guaranteed past jump point. We've got a couple of those just to really hammer the point home. And then we've got leaving United Empire of Earth jurisdiction, entering Pyro. When I first saw that particular sign, I kind of had in my mind, I'd like to see them change one bit of the wording, because as you go through there, you're not technically entering Pyro. I would change it to something like traveling to Pyro or gates to Pyro, rather than entering Pyro. That, in realistically, should be like the welcome sign at the other end. But that's a minor little quibble from me that probably doesn't really need changing. It's just I can get fussy about wording a thing sometimes, which you might not be able to guess having listened to me ramble on for a little while. But yeah, this is the Pyro jump point, or the station around it. Again, as I said, not quite as much here. Still plenty of holographic signage. So the next stop is going to be Magnus. Now, this one is quite a journey away, guys. If we go back to the star map again, as you can see, you know, we're down here by Arc Core, or nearer to Arc L5, really. This is well beyond the orbit that Mike L5, Mike L3 would be on. This is quite a long way away. It's well above the plane of the system. And as you can see, apparently it requires 565 units of fuel. Luckily, I'm in the MSR. I've got more than enough fuel, but I will say, guys, if you're trying to do this in a much smaller ship, make sure you stop off on the way and refuel as and when needed. Otherwise, at the moment, you're going to get stranded. So obviously you can backspace and respawn somewhere, but then you've got to go through the hassle of claiming your ship, waiting for it to be delivered, and so on. So, or you could just wait until the next update for the test server, because everything will get wiped back to scratch then anyway, probably, as it is. So once again, guys, and for the last time in this video, I am going to pause the recording, and I will see you at the Magnus jump point. And here we are. We've made it to the Magnus Nebula. I am going to do an Ollie 43, and I'm going to take a couple of screenshots for possible thumbnails, because, you know, this all looks really absolutely fantastic. So let's get that screenshot as well. I quite like that one. Okie dokie. And let's just jump to the station, and we'll take our last look at the last of the 3 stations, and then we'll have a quick chat about what we think is going to come next. So yeah, here we are. This station, I quite like this station because it's a slightly different design to the other 2. It's very much more vertical. So on this one, you've got the security station sits on top of the station, and then you've got the rings going down more like levels to the main body of the station. So it's taking the design shapes we've seen already, but just rearranging them in a different way. So I like that. I like the fact that they found a different way to do it. And you've even got like an inner, smaller ring down the bottom there. So I'm really looking forward to actually getting the opportunity to explore each of these stations, which I'll do another time. As I said, I won't do those today. But what I'll probably do is I'll probably bedlog while I'm here after recording, and then come back to it all a little bit later and start having a wander around the stations. I don't know if I'll do a video on those, because I'm not so sure that at the moment there's going to be enough going on there for them to be interesting. And they're pretty much all going to have the same kind of things in them, let's be honest. There's not going to be anything like revolutionary. But it'll be interesting to see. I assume we're going to be able to set respawn points at all of these stations. It would make sense to be able to. But to my knowledge, that hasn't been implemented yet. I doubt you'll be able to select them as starting locations either. I think that's always going to be the actual main planets themselves, at least for the time being. But again, you know, we've been on a bit of a sliding scale in terms of the number of components of these space stations at each of these. So Terra had quite a lot. Pyro, I would say, maybe had half the amount of additional structures, and Magnus has many fewer structures here. All the nebulae seem to be the same basic design. Again, I can't really criticize them for that. They may update them down the line, but it's not really necessary. They have done the colors of each one slightly different as well. I am doing exactly what Ollie did. I cannot believe I'm doing it as well. I was flying upside down. But yeah, we do have all the signage there. Slightly different signage. I do wonder if there are going to be any corporations specific to, say, Pyro, Magnus, that will then advertise at these gate entryways as well. So there you go, guys. That is just a brief visitation of the 3 locations so far. If anything does get updated with these in the near future, I'll look at doing a video then as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to look at doing some videos on other features in Alpha 321 as I get my head around them a bit more. So keep an eye out for what else is coming. There will be a couple of other Arena Commander videos to come as well. I'll be honest, I know the first one was way too long and probably not that interesting, but I'm going to take a look at doing a few more of those as well. So they will be coming. There will also be a Starfield related video coming down the line. I don't know when. It's probably going to be a couple of months away. But as someone who has played No Man's Sky, Star Citizen and Starfield, I have my opinions, I have my preferences. So I wouldn't mind talking about like how I feel about Starfield when compared to the other two games, and how I feel about it in and of itself as someone who has been a big Bethesda fan over the years. As always, guys, if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe. Let's see if we can push towards this YouTube partnership. And turn on the notification bell so that you know when my next videos are going to be up. Down in the chat, if anyone does want to sign up to the game and make their first pledge, if you haven't created your account code yet, my share code is down in the description, so check it out there, and you'll get 5,000 UEC to spend in game. I also will, and I will get a no, sorry, I won't get the 5,000 UEC. I'll get a referral bonus point, which allows me to earn some rewards in game. And don't forget, guys, once you're signed up, you also get a share code that you can use to earn those same rewards. In the meantime, guys, I'm going to link a friend's video at the end, so please do go and check out his work. I'd really love if we can help him grow as well. And I will see you all in the next video.